Welcome to the We've All Done It podcast. If you are struggling with some toxic work BS, you, my friend, are in the right place. Office politics are hard, and sometimes we are the fun in dysfunction. I am Kimberly Benoit, your host and author of We've All Done It, getting real about the role we each play in a toxic workplace. With over 20 years of leadership experience, and yes, my own toxic missteps, I will be joined by leaders just like you and I to explore common leadership situations that every leader finds themselves in at some point in their career. We discuss lessons learned in a judgment-free space because no matter how it feels, we aren't alone in our struggles. We all have our own BS, and we can support and learn from each other. Hey everyone, welcome back to what is going to be the last podcast recording of 2024. So what you get today is me, just me. I'm going to be talking about kind of recapping the year and talking about what's going to come. I mean, can we just say 2024 has been a wild ride for a lot of people for very different reasons. I can say for myself, I think there have been moments of incredible highs. There have been points of incredible lows. And some of those I actually want to talk about with you today. So let's start with the highs, because that's always a fun place to start. I want to start with you, the listener, the subscriber, the person who has subscribed and gets and reads my emails, the people who listen to the podcast, the people who watch me on YouTube. I have to start and say, absolutely thank you. For everyone who has subscribed, who has rated, who has sent me responses. That means more to me than you probably will ever know. And part of this we'll get into in some of the lows, but when you work for yourself, you are a team of one. And sometimes you make choices and you just have no clue what is going to work, what's not going to work, what are people going to love, not love. And those simple little actions that you take are sending me reinforcement that the work that I do matters, that you are listening, that you are continuing to listen. And I have to say thank you from the bottom of my heart that it makes such a difference. I know for you, it probably seems really insignificant. It is not. So, and I say this in how I look at authors who have written other books or other people who create podcast material. No, nothing is easy. Not all this may look super easy, but it takes so much time. It takes so much thought and process, and just it's a commitment to create in this way. And the way you show up matters tremendously, not only to me, but to everyone else that you support. So just thank you. I think that's where we start, is with a big old thank you. And then I want to say, okay, so what you loved the most, because I think this is always fun to go and look at the stats and see what people love the most and what resonated the most. We had 3 episodes that kind of jumped out ahead of the rest. I'm not going to give numbers, so all my little metric people out there who want that, email me separately, I'll tell you. But the 3 that really resonated with you guys and listeners, which didn't surprise me a ton, but I just kind of want to call them out, is Ditch the Feedback Sandwich. So how to master the art of difficult feedback with Heather Kay. That was one that was really popular. I know when I've been a manager and when I'm working with other managers, this is probably one of the top areas that people struggle with, is how to deliver difficult feedback. So definitely this will be something we'll probably tackle some more in the new year, because it's something that just because you do it right one time doesn't mean the next time you have a conversation, things aren't going to be challenging. So as much as I can give you support and ideas and tactics around that, we're going to do that. The other 2 I thought were really interesting, which was the Positivity Pitfall. So how to show up as an authentic leader. So that was with Susan Boettner. and John Rennie. And again, that was where, we as leaders want to motivate, we want to inspire, but how do we do it in a way that comes across with genuineness, with authenticity, so that we don't end up falling into this weird category where we just really don't want to talk about uncomfortable things and we just want to whip out that inspirational quote from Brene Brown, um, that, leaves the person who's sitting on the other side of us just feeling dismissed and unseen. So that is a great one that I really loved that conversation because we approached it from a couple of different perspectives. So definitely go listen to that. And then the last one that I really want to highlight of this like trio of episodes that you guys really seem to love was leading through resistance. So that one was called Resist This: Leadership Advice for Tackling Team Resistance. And my guest on that one was Bonnie Artman Fox and Lacey Momage. Again, two of my favorite people in the world to talk about real ways to understand. Like our team, people naturally resist things. Change is hard. I know it's hard for me. It's hard for everybody. Even good change is hard. And so there is some brilliant, brilliant conversation in that episode that is filled with a lot of empathy and compassion, but also reality around how do you navigate very tough, challenging episodes with your teams when the people around you are resisting in a very deep and meaningful way. So go check those out. I'm gonna have them. I'm gonna have like links in the notes. But I also encourage you not only to go listen to those episodes, but go follow these people. Um, you know, like Lacey is, she is not an entrepreneur like we are, but she is in innovative space and brilliant and smart. I mean, Bonnie and Susan and John and Heather all own their own businesses and are doing incredibly exciting things and trying to, again, no differently than myself, is how do we help everyone show up as a better version of themselves tomorrow? And so, but we all have a little bit of different approach, different spin. So get out there and support them, reach out to them. If how they view the world and how they think about things is exciting to you, like tell them. Again, no differently than me, all those small actions are incredibly, incredibly meaningful and important to us. And then the next thing that is a high is I have started researching and outlining a new book. So the next book coming related to leadership, I'm going to hold that a little close to the chest for a little bit, but I'm very excited. I think you guys are going to love it. It's going to go a step beyond and go deeper than We've All Done It. So We've All Done It is really the beginning. It's that self-awareness discovery of how do we show up in typical situations? What do we even think is toxic in challenging situations? Because we might not see the things, we may never see things the same way. But do you even slow down enough to consider it? So this book is going to take you a little bit deeper. And then the exciting part is there's going to be a program that will go along with this book. So as I'm researching the book, I'm developing a program that I hope will be incredibly meaningful for you and will take you from kind of where you are to where you want to be, with, I'll say a couple weeks, but we're still working it out, but more to come in 2025. But just know I'm super excited about that. Writing is a very, like being an entrepreneur, writing can be a very lonely endeavor. But I love the opportunity to be incredibly creative and to explore all the amazing research that's being done right now, because a lot's changing in our world. A lot has changed since COVID, and it is influencing and affecting how we are treating each other and what it looks like to be in the workplace. So I think this is a good time because the research is finally catching up with post-pandemic, and like, how do we put some of that beautiful insight to work for ourselves? So yes, lots of exciting things in 2024 that are bringing us to kind of the conclusion. And I can say this unequivocally that I feel like I am ending this year incredibly fulfilled, both personally and professionally. I feel like I'm the happiest I've been in a really long time. In part, by the way, is because of the amazing network that I have around me, including a great friend who I won't name because I don't know if she would feel great about me naming her, but I'll say her first name. Her name is Lisa. And she lives very close to me, and we were in college together. And she suggested we try to play tennis again because we played tennis in college 20 plus years ago. And that she brought that up in the spring, and it has reignited a passion. So, like, I am having a blast. Let's just say brain and body are not in sync of what I'm capable of doing, but we're going to get there. So I'm in a good place. I'm in a very great place. But I also want to take a moment to talk about the lows that happened this year, because I think so often in these spaces, and I say we, meaning I won't consider myself an influencer, but I would definitely say entrepreneurs, people in general. I don't know if we always do a good job of communicating when things are hard, and the fact that it's not always easy as it looks. We don't have it together as much as everybody thinks that we do. And so as part of my commitment to the vulnerability, the compassion, the humor, is transparency. And so I want to talk about where there were some lows this year. And so, yes. Now, I say this because I just told you that life is great. But there was a period in this year where it wasn't. And I really struggled with where I wanted my business to go, what I wanted, what did I want to focus on? Where was what I did mattered the most? Um, and in a true sense, I felt very wayward in this. I just didn't know what was resonating. I didn't know if people cared. Um, and that's why I say the little things you do absolutely mattered, because what ended up happening is in moments where I felt the most lost and the most questioning all my life's choices of who am I, what am I doing, is it bringing value to anyone? You know, we have grand ideas that what we create is going to bring value to the world, but if you feel like you're screaming into an echo chamber, things can be challenging, right? It can be what I like to, I termed a crisis of confidence. Because you're just not sure of what you're doing and why it matters. But the great part about it and we're going to talk about this next, was the network that I built. I have been very intentional around building. So this is family, this is friends, this is colleagues. Especially having moved to a different part of the country a little over a year ago. So losing somewhat of that close, like immediate network. I saw very quickly how important that became. Because in the moments when I felt absolutely lost and I felt like I wasn't, I was not having a great day, because let's be clear, no one has this all figured out. No one is great every day. No one is, showing up every day thinking they are the best. I mean, there may be some people, and they probably have psychological disorders, but the normal people in the world, the average folks like you and me, you and I, get my English right, don't want my teachers out there fussing at me. There are going to be days that are just not going to be the easiest, and our confidence is not going to be the highest, and we're going to make mistakes, or, we're going to have to course correct and figure things out. But the truth of it is, how I overcame a lot of that came down to the people I had around me. So colleagues who showed up, who have been through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, saying, hey, you're not alone. You're not the only person who's dealt with this. Like, let's talk it through. How can I help you? And even sometimes it was just listening. It's not they were solving a problem for me. It was just showing up for me. And so what I was able to do was to stay the course and get my feet back under me, because they would ask me great questions, and, family members or friends who would just simply say, get out of your own way. Like, you're not crazy, but like you might not be having the healthiest of perspectives. Like, you're choosing to look at the worst. What if you looked at the best? Doesn't that sound easy? Yes. But when you are not feeling your most confident, and when you are not in the most positive headspaces, this is when having the right resources and community around you absolutely matters. And so I just can't tell you enough of that. In my darkest, lowest, like, who am I? What am I doing? And don't lie, you've all been there. So before anybody's like, oh, that's never happened to me. If it hasn't happened to you, congratulations. I am sure it will happen to you at some point in life. Um, I would encourage you to really invest and pay attention to who you choose to have around you in life. It is because it's the people you choose to have around you will determine where you go next. Not just where you are, where you go next. Because the people I had around me would not allow me to wallow, would not allow me to settle, would not allow me, like, they would give me the space to kind of work through it myself. But when I was stuck, they provided the swift kick in the ass that I, Kim, needed to get out of my own way. And so, what I just talked about, the high, is like, I then found myself, because of these people. And I don't want, like, I'm sure most of them would be like, no, you did work. I did work. But that inspiration, that support allowed me to then push into that space of, well, what is the positive? If I choose to look at whatever challenge I'm facing, instead of focusing on what isn't working, well, what is? What do I want to focus on? How do I want to shift? And I think that's a huge component of why I'm ending the year in such a great place, is because I had to do work. I had to struggle through some things to end up where I am, and then to make some decisions about what I want my life to look like, not just like right now, but into 2025 and beyond. So I would just encourage you to think about that a little bit. I like to give you guys little bits of homework. Anybody who has been a client of mine knows I'm a big fan of homework. Not like homework, but is, as we're going into this holiday season, really look around you and ask yourself, who is your network? Who is your community? Are these the people that are going to help support you, challenge you, like really help you not only be successful where you are right now, but in the next version of who you want to become? Are those the people that are going to have your back, notice when things aren't right, and come at you and ask questions and say, hey, what's going on? This doesn't seem like you. How can I help you? What do you need today? Oh, little things matter, people. Little things. So who's showing up for you? And conversely, who do you show up for? So just think about that a little bit, and maybe go have some very strong conversations of gratitude. This is a good time of the year to go do it and thank people for showing up for you, and tell them what it means that they show up for you. So with that, I'm going to wrap up, because, it's just me droning on. I know for some of you, you're probably like, wrap it up, Kim. I just want to leave you with a couple more thoughts. And because again, the end of the year is a good time for reflection. And I'm not going to get into anything overly political, because that's very easy to lean into right now. But what I would say is anytime you have a new administration, there are shifts that take place. Things change. It happens every election cycle. And, this is promising to be the same, maybe some bigger shifts than we have had in the past, but shifts nonetheless will take place. And I just want you to think through a few things. Is, when you're reflecting on your year, do you know what's most important for you in your professional and personal journey? Do you know what your priorities are? And are you able to communicate them and create the boundaries for you to be the best version of yourself? So if that is not an easy one, I would take that down and do some journaling. Again, repeat. What is most important to you professionally and personally? What boundaries and what are your priorities and what are your boundaries around those priorities? How do you keep those safe? How do you keep those protected? The other thing I would encourage you to think about is when you're reflecting on your year is how do you gain awareness around your gaps? So every one of us has areas where we need to be better. So whether it's personal, professional, we all have gaps of things that we wish we could do better. Or things that, particularly professionally, if you're interested in promoting, how do you get to that next level? If you don't know, if you're not sure what your gaps are, I want you to challenge yourself to ask people you trust to tell you tough things, to ask for feedback. What are your gaps? What maybe are you blind? What are your blind spots that might hold you back from moving to that next level, to getting that next thing you want? It won't be comfortable for you and for the other person, most likely, because people usually don't like to give difficult feedback, but give them permission to tell you the truth. And when they tell you the truth, believe them, particularly if it's someone you trust. And then from there, what I would encourage you to do is, as difficult as it may be, is have some honest reflection about it. And then say in 2025, how do I create a plan that addresses this gap? If I want to be a better version of myself, if I really want what I say I want, and this gap is something that could hold me back from that, then what am I willing to change about myself? What am I willing to do differently to get me closer to what I want? So that's a whole lot of things to reflect on. I know I gave you a lot to think about. But this is going to be the last podcast of the year, and my last newsletter is going to be coming out shortly, because the rest of December is going to be spent really trying to rest. And there's going to be a lot of research and a lot of writing and just preparing for 2025. It's going to be a good year. I can tell you already, we have a ton of amazing episodes already ready to roll in 2025. I am so excited for the people we have planned for you. Oh my God, just amazing conversations, great people. So it's going to be another big year of good stuff, good content, people who are going to challenge you to think a little differently, try things. But yeah, again, I just want to end where I began and say thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Don't ever hesitate to drop a comment down or shoot me an email. I read them all and I respond. So with that, I want everyone, please take care of yourself this holiday season. Please take care of yourselves. Like I said, we got a lot of work to do in 2025. God, it's crazy that we're going to be there. 2025. And we got to start by being kind and caring for ourselves so that we can show up and be kind and caring for others. So see you in 2025. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of We've All Done It. I know your time is valuable. That's why I am for as little BS as possible. Hopefully today's episode has sparked some new ideas for you. If you would like to learn more about the We've All Done It leadership framework or how to work with me, please check out my website at kimberlyjbenoit.com. Until next time.